The CEO of Ripple simply denied it ever occurred. The objective is XRP YouTubers. Hi there, lovely individuals. Peepo Coin Channel. The Ripple CTO's mysterious tweet generated a lot of discussion as well. Does it relate to XRP in any way? And like we do each day, we'll examine the markets to see if there are any factors that could cause them to rise or fall today. I only ask that you smile at me so that I can radiate positive energy. Since likes are free, Smith Shitty should push the like button. Let's get started. Right now, XRP is trading at $2.24, up 0.16% for the day. This place is really lovely and flat. Bitcoin is 105.472 as well. Yesterday, we observed that it did reach the 106 level, but it has since somewhat retreated. Nothing has changed on the cryptocurrency market. On Wednesday, June 4th, there is nothing that might cause the market to move. Perhaps the ISM services could, but there is nothing that could cause the market to move in any direction. You might refer to it as the market's dog days. As you can see, interest is declining slightly overall, and there isn't much price activity going on. However, following these types of areas, there are always significant changes to the upside or downside, so it will be fascinating to see where that might occur. And you are aware that this image or tweet has been circulated 1,000 times inside the cryptocurrency community, correct? However, pointing out that in the past we've witnessed money move from Bitcoin to Ethereum, then to big caps, and finally to out season. And since I don't believe the money flow has peaked yet, it hasn't truly transpired this way this time around. Additionally, some claim that Phase 2 has already begun. We're not in Phase 2, in my opinion. Carl is stating that the second phase is loaded. We're not quite there yet, in my opinion. In my opinion, Ethereum still has a long way to go until it fully recovers. Even in terms of pricing, it still has a lot to offer, doesn't it? Since Bitcoin has surpassed that and set new highs, it's not even close to its all-time high of $4,800, is it? Ethereum is also absent. And this is how things should proceed if you're only looking at it. That hasn't happened. Of course, that might have an impact on our season, are causing it to occur later than it could otherwise. Thus, this will be a fascinating experience. Additionally, there are those like James, whose journey we have been following for the past few weeks. He has tweeted out the months of June and July, suggesting that the cycle's climax may actually occur in July. If we examine at historical events, they typically occur 500 days after the halving. Thus, we would arrive in October or November of 2025. However, this market seems to be distinct from all others this time. He's talking about exponential improvements over the next 8 weeks as he looks at July and the end of July. Who knows? He may or may not be correct. People release information, and for example, we discussed Robert Kiyosaki's prediction that the biggest crash will occur in the summer. Saki may or may not be correct. He was mistaken. This has happened on several occasions in social media, where people will express their ideas and say things like, "Oh, this is going to happen. That will take place." After this, however, it doesn't occur. They'll also claim that this didn't occur because XY, the markets can't be predicted, can they? Just how it will occur. Some individuals are able to forecast that the market would be bullish in the upcoming years. They will then state that this is our low-end price and that is our high-end price. Isn't that easy to predict? You must be a genius if it touches the bottom end, don't you think? Frequently, however, this does not occur. Although no one knows, we can attempt to forecast the future by looking at the past. For this reason, I will never provide you financial advice or advise you to buy, sell, or hold. Always conduct your own research before making an investment. In addition, James is perhaps losing his job at the moment. Bitcoin somewhat declined, but he was still up $2 million. As a result, he's currently down $62,000. Peanuts, that is. He was up about $100 million after that. However, that is an intriguing tale. I kind of missed the first story, which we discussed a lot, but now let's go on to the next one. Social media has been discussing it a bit more lately. According to Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple never made an attempt to purchase Circle. This runs counter to a story by Bloomberg that said Ripple made a $5 billion bid. Then you recall that they too made an offer of $10 billion, but it was turned down. Came from XRP Las Vegas, and this tweet was sent by Chris, who interviewed Brad. At the moment, Ripple is concentrating on growing its stablecoin while Circle gets ready for the $7.2 billion IPO. I joined Brad Garlinghouse on stage in Las Vegas 48 hours ago to get his thoughts on the future of Ripple, he stated. Even though there was no live broadcast of this session, I thought his comments were fascinating and deserving of a tweet. A brief summary and key points. Brad was clear-cut. Although he wanted the company well, Ripple never pursued an acquisition of Circle and had no intention of doing so. The purchase of Hidden Road by Ripple suggests more ambitious plans. In addition to being a stable coin, Ripple is using RLUSD as collateral on the XRP ledger to decrease transactions. This is infrastructure thinking. While it may seem dull to some, it is fundamental to everyone. The United Arab Emirates is interacting. A reminder that in certain areas, tokenization is not just a theory, but is actually a working experiment that is beginning with prime asset classes is the ripple effect surrounding real estate tokenization. Brad highlighted the harm caused when cryptocurrency networks openly disparage one another in front of the XRP audience. He claimed that the donation of the Satoshi Skull by Ripple was a diplomatic move rather than a marketing gimmick. Brad used very intimate language while describing his visit to the SEC, pointing out variations in involvement. Even though it appeared to be extremely obvious, I could see the fire in his eyes, which served as a reminder that the stories are based on real people. In the end, Chris left with the impression that Ripple is betting on a future in which TradeFi and cryptocurrency are hyper-BRI-ized, rather than pursuing a scenario in which TradeFi is replaced by cryptocurrency, where traditional financial institutions, stablecoins, and tokenized assets come together and work together. If they are correct, as I believe they are, then prime brokers, fiat, on-ramp, and payment processors that consider not just picks and shovels, but also bridges between the old and the new will be the next wave of acquisitions rather than AMMs or token launchers. Now that it's me, I believe Ripple is getting better. They're happening, huge, expansive pictures. The little ones are no longer their target. They have a substantial amount of cash on hand and may be developing into a massive business. Additionally, we had this photo from Jackpot, the CTO of Ripple. He was just in Las Vegas, I believe, and he wants money. The Twitterverse, however, resembled conspiracy theory. The topic of this is related to Ripple. It is related to XRP in some way. Although I've read a few stories about it, I don't think so. This is our current predicament, and we must acknowledge that the cryptocurrency market is now somewhat dull. You do realize that things can change so quickly? As you can see, during the past several days, XRP has somewhat recovered. If we only look at the low, it has increased by roughly 9% during the past 5 days. For many people I know, 9% is nothing. For them, it's better to be up than down. For those who are short, down is preferable over up. Once more, everything is dependent on your goals. All right, Elon goes on. I don't know whether you watched the video last night, but Elon is constantly tweeting about the U.S. debt, the present state of affairs, and the upcoming spending bill. He is going on and on about these topics. Claims that 25% of